Hey guys, it's Bob Ferngren, and I'm back with another 8-minute call. So, why aren't things getting done? Why aren't you advancing? Why isn't your marriage going better? Why aren't your kids doing better in school? Why aren't you healthier, eating better, at least walking every day, doing the things that successful people do to get the results they want to get? Well, oddly enough, it really ties back to why you would do it. What's your motivation? What is your motivation? Quite a while ago, I had owned a bunch of businesses in the restaurant and hotel world, and it seemed like overnight, every one of those businesses was failing, causing me to go hundreds of thousands of dollars in personal debt. It was the worst time in my life. It was the beginning of the end of my first marriage, which was over 25 years at that time. And so, man, I'm in a struggle. But what I'm doing isn't working, okay? So I learned this a long time ago. If what you're doing's not working, you're gonna have to change something, or change doing what you're doing, or change whatever you gotta change. You have to change it. And even if that doesn't work and that doesn't, you gotta keep changing till something works. So I actually changed industries and I got into direct sales, affiliate marketing, something I really knew nothing about. I knew about marketing because I was the chief executive officer for several large national restaurant chains in my past, but I didn't really understand this industry. But and so I really struggled like my first year or two in the industry. I was like a muscler, and meaning I muscled my results and I manipulated and convinced and all those things. Now I had to go on a learning journey. You don't start a whole new industry without that. But in the middle of that learning journey, I found my purpose. I had a purpose prior to that, and other purposes, certainly, and purposes can change over time, or your motivation, or whatever you want to call it, but I found it. You see, it was really this simple for me. I had adult children at that time. I now have 2 children under 4, a 1-year-old and an almost 4-year-old. So I had adult children at the time, and their entire life, they had only seen their dad be successful. They had never lived in lack. I mean, they had to move a lot. We had to chase the corporate dream, all that stuff. But here was my simple motivation. By God, before I get off this planet, they're going to see their dad back on top of the mountain. That was it. Every day I thought, what do they think of me? How am I doing? How can I be like that hero dad? Now, I don't think I lost any of that. I just used that motivation. I mean, they'd never seen their dad down, hundreds of thousands of dollars in personal debt, struggling, marriage falling apart, blah, 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 blah. They never seen their dad on the mat. But I can tell you one thing they were going to do. They were going to see me get up before the 10 count. And they did. And I went on to huge success, and doors opened up and opportunities. Because for so long, even after success was happening, by God, my children will see me back on top of that mountain. So guys, think about your children. Do you want them to have the same life you've had? Maybe you've got a great life and that's an easy answer. But most of us, have struggled. Most of us have had problems or had to overcome things, or divorced. Both my parents divorced a couple times. Mostly raised by a single mom. You have to overcome things, right? And you don't want your children to have to do that. But what you want your children to see is their parents standing up, right? And if you don't have children, then you've got to find other motivations. Maybe you don't have a lot of relatives, then get more friends. And the best way to get friends is go help people. Go help people with the right heart. You'll find people that like you. There's lots of ways to help. But here's the deal. Look at every aspect of your life. It's if in a struggle right now, there's really 2 things it comes down to. One is finding this purpose thing we're talking about today. And guys, that can't be too hard. there has to be, and I've always thought purpose has to be attached to people. Like, my purpose is to get a bigger boat. That's not really motivational. How about once you're successful, my purpose is so that my children can learn how to ski at an early age, so that my children can have advantages that I did not have. My children can travel to learn about geography and history and not read about it from a book from a questionable teacher, right? So you got to find your own motivation. And again, if you don't have children, you find your own motivation and you write that down and you keep it in front of you and you repeat it and you spend more of your time thinking about the results and living in the results and living in the future and believing that that is going to happen. And I'm going to talk more about belief. I'm going to talk more about manifestation. I'm going to talk more about all the things you need, but I just said it takes two things. It takes certainly a powerful purpose. And again, I think it has to be tied to people. But it also takes action. You know, you got to get busy. Whatever that means, you know, so you identify you have a purpose, then you've got to identify what you're going to do about that. We're going to talk more about that in the future. But listen, if you find anything this weekend or whenever you watch this, if you find anything in the next week, start finding your purpose, your reason why, your motivation, and lock it in, and then let the magic take place.